Marketing That Works is the podcast for business owners who want to move their brand forward so that they can bring in more sales and clients. I'm Danielle Harris, and I'm bringing you what I know from more than 12 years of experience in traditional and online marketing. I have created marketing strategies for businesses of all sizes, from multi-million-dollar corporations to early-stage online businesses. Remember, some marketers chase fads. I believe in mastering the fundamentals. If your business hasn't made $100,000 in 12 months, I need you to stop annual planning. After 15 years of planning marketing for both corporate and online coaching businesses, I found that most small business owners, especially the online coaches, aren't served by the usual detailed annual plan. So today I want to break down why making an annual plan if you're under $100,000 in your business is actually slowing you down and what you should be doing instead to make sure that you're actually going to hit your goals. Now, after years of working with online coaches and business owners and helping them come up with marketing plans for their businesses, one of the most common things that I hear is planning for the year feels like a lot. And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about your goals. I'm not saying not to go after big goals. I'm saying that you don't need to be so locked in about a plan of how to hit your goals. Because when it comes to putting together a plan for a whole year and how to hit a goal, it might feel like you're committing to something that you're very unsure of. Because honestly, at this point, there are just some logistical and like hard mechanical aspects of your business that you're still figuring out. And using the same annual planning methods that multiple six figure and seven figure business owners use, it honestly just doesn't make sense for you right now. And that's honestly because there are four things that you're really still finalizing and figuring out for your business. Four things that you're updating on like a monthly, quarterly, half year basis that makes planning on a yearly basis difficult and not logical. So first, I just want to break down what are some of those elements that you're still figuring out that makes annual planning like this something that I just don't recommend as someone who's been in the marketing game for years and years. And the first thing that you're still figuring out is your messaging. Now, messaging, that is honestly just something that's always going to evolve and something that's always going to get redefined. But when you're under the $100,000 mark in your business, your message is still deciding the overall direction and positioning of your business. Like you might start off the year saying that, okay, I really am focusing on helping people get into creative careers. And so you go for that, you go into that. And as you work with more people, you realize by March, like, actually, I want to help people get into growing wellness and creative businesses, not just get into that in their careers. And so you do that for some time. Then, after doing this for even more time, you realize actually, I am really drawn to helping women of color, people of marginalized identities really get into creative spaces and have their own businesses that are doing this. Like, that's going to be my more focus. Now, all of these pivots and changes and evolutions, there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The longer that you're in business, the more clients that you work with, the more you're going to refine who it is that you help and how exactly it is you're going to help them. But going through this process just means that an offer positioning you have right now might not look the same in 6 months. And being so tied to an annual plan can make it feel like you're behind or that you just keep flip flopping and changing your mind or that you're not consistent when the reality is you're just following the natural path of business. Your messaging is just evolving, and that's completely normal. Trying to stick with an annual plan is going to make it feel like you are not doing things right when you are, in fact, doing everything appropriately right. That's why I do not recommend sticking with the annual plan of like, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about and do exactly like this for an entire year when you are in this stage and phase of business. Now, the second thing that is constantly evolving and being worked on while you are at this stage of business is your overall work process. And when I mean your overall work process, I mean the actual structure of your packages and how you will actually work with people. Now, I've had a client and she thought that the way that her entire year was going to work, she had the number that she wanted to hit annually in revenue. And she said, if I hit this many of my one on one 2 week intensive, if I get this many per month over the entire year, I'm going to hit my number, right? And that's what she went into the year focused on, right? But she realized that actually what was going to work for her was a webinar. She actually just decided to do a webinar and then decided, like, actually, I do want to do more one on one intensives because 2 weeks isn't enough. I want to work with people for longer. And then it was through that she realized that's actually how I want to work with people. She had to try multiple things before figuring out what was the actual packaging that she actually liked and worked for her and got her people the best results. Now, for you, you might be thinking that VIP days are going to be it for me. And so you plan your whole year around having these VIP days. You say, like, okay, if I had to do 3 a month for this amount of time, they're going to be like these like 2-part half day ones. And that gives me a nice balance. You might think that that's going to be it. But you might realize through, the mid part of the year that these actually burn you out. You actually don't like this and that you actually like working with people on a more long-term basis. But if you were just like, oh, but I had this plan that I was going to stick this out, you might end up feeling like you're not sticking to things the way that you want to. This is why I believe in not being so committed for a long-term goal and what you're exactly going to do when you are in this stage of business. There are still things that you are figuring out and deciding if this works for you, your clients, and how you like to work. Being so locked in on saying, I want to do things this way and allowing no flexibility is not going to work and help you actually hit that big goal that you want to go after. Now, a third reason why annual planning can be really hard, especially if your business is under $100,000, is that at this stage, you're still figuring out your lead flow. You are still figuring out how exactly people are coming in and discovering and finding out about your business, all the way down to what gets them to actually press the buy, work, let me give you money process of it. Let's say, for example, you might have started off the year thinking that, yeah, I'm going to do Instagram. That's going to be the best place for me to get leads. But for you, at the end of the day, you find out that I'm actually a YouTube person. I really like that. And that gets people in and wanting to work with me. That might be the thing that actually ends up working for you. Or you might discover that if you go to some of these events and you network with people, that's actually your best way of getting new leads and getting people to work with you. Being so locked in and saying, like, this is how I'm going to do things does not open you up to discovering the best way and the best path is going to work with you and your business individually. Over the years, I've had plenty of clients who came to me and they were super focused and intent on wanting to be people that posted all of these reels to Instagram and that they were constantly online, and that was going to be the way that they were really going to grow their business. But after working with them, discovered that actually they are natural social butterflies and that they do their best work of describing and engaging with people about what they do when they talk to people on a one on one basis. And when they leaned into more of their natural gifts, they actually got more leads coming in. But they wouldn't have discovered that if they weren't just so fixed on, like, this is how everything has to be, and this is what I have to stick to for this period of time, and this is what everyone else is doing. You need to allow yourself to have the time and the space to open up to different ways of doing things, and having an annual plan where you're just like, yeah, well, I have to hit this number, I have to go after and do these things. Being so locked into an annual plan of that does not allow you that level of flexibility, and it gets you feeling like you're behind. And lastly, annual planning at this stage can feel difficult because your identity is changing and shifting right along with your business. Over the years, I've had so many clients come to me with plans of how they're going to grow their business, and they were completely tapped into their 6 figure or multiple 6 figure identity sales when they were coming up with this plan. And when they did this, the plans were beautiful, they were lovely. But when they were creating this plan, they didn't take into account that they needed to grow into this identity. For that period of time, they were tapped into their multiple 6 figure self. But on a day to day basis, they are still at that 40K business owner self. And so on the days when they are at their baseline of who they are, They cannot see themselves going up and rising to the occasion and having the capacity to do the tasks and to reach out to the people and do the things necessary to grow their business to that level. And because there's this mismatch of that, they're just like, well, how am I going to go through and pull off this fantastical plan that I've set when like I can't see myself actually doing it? The plan that they had together left no margin for error. And because there was no margin for error, anytime there was any doubt, anytime there was even a hint of like, I don't know if I can do this, the plan sat still. And so because of that, you trash your entire plan that you have and you don't pick it up for weeks or even months. Your plan doesn't take into account that the way the six figure you would handle a problem might not be accessible to the 40K version of yourself. And that's completely okay. But when you are locked into these annual plans where you're just like, okay, I'm fully in my six figure self, and you at this point right now are not, it's going to be a bit of a stretch and a bit of a leap to actually get there. And that's why these plans that you have, where you're just like, okay, I'm going to go after, I'm going to do all of these things. And when you set yourself for an entire year to do it, it takes so long for you to actually get on board because you're doing this internal fight of, can I actually hit this? Which is why, again, I don't believe in doing annual plans, especially at this level, because there's so much that you need to be able to learn and tap into in order to actually fulfill that for a 12-month period. Now, I want to reiterate this. I am not against you setting big goals. Set the big goals, go after the big things. But the process I'm about to share shows how you can have a clear goal but be way more fluid about how you approach going after it. So, what exactly is the planning process you should use if your business is under $100,000? I want you to plan out no further than 3 months out. And I say this because, for being honest, most of you are probably not being consistent for that amount of time anyway. You don't spend 3 months focused on growing your email list like you said you would. You're not posting reels 3 times a week for 12 weeks straight. You're not testing your messaging and positioning for a long enough period of time. You're not doing that. And I'm going to be completely honest, I am in the same boat as you. I have been there before. I've said that I'm going to improve one area of my business and not keep it up. So, well, how does it make sense that if you can't do something for 3 months, how are you going to plot out and map out a plan for 12 months? Like it doesn't make sense, which is why I love my approach, my 3 month approach to planning, because it doesn't require you to be perfect at getting all of this stuff right. For me, with my plan, the first month is all about habit creation and systems. If you want to post more content and have it focused on attracting new leads and new people into your business, then the way that you would plan out your first month is you would be focused on just tracking how many times you actually did the thing that you said that you were going to do, and then deciding what systems that you need and what things you need to have in place to make sure you can actually do this on a long-term sustainable basis. Like that's what you would do in all of month one. It wouldn't be about getting it perfect, but it would be about your intentionality and tracking how often am I doing the things that I say that I want to do. So if you're focused on lead generation content, then you're saying like, okay, so like what structures do I need in place to actually get this up and going? Do I need a lead magnet? Do I need to have a mini chat automation system? Those are the things that you're going to be thinking about and looking at. Then for month two, what I want you to be focused on during this month is just improving the quality in which you are doing things. So going back to that content creation for lead generation example, what did you learn from the first month? Like, I want you to really evaluate it. Did you say that you wanted to create content that brought in new leads, but then ended up actually creating more nurturing content that was just for your current users? Like, I want you to be able to look at that type of information and then make changes accordingly. Use the second month to really apply some of the things that you learned and picked up on in your first month. Then in month three, if you have been keeping up for the first 2 months, month three is when things really start to get into gear. If you're looking back at 2 months worth of information and you're really working with someone who can help you to evaluate that and make strategic changes, Then month 3 is really when things are going to start to happen. You're going to know what your struggles are and you're going to know exactly how to correct them. You might start to see the results that you want, not randomly anymore, but actually consistently and on purpose. And you're at this point building up your capacity to operate at this level on an ongoing basis. This 3-month approach, it allows you to have a month that honestly isn't perfect at first, then a month where you're actually really learning about what it's going to take to make this goal happen. And then by month 3, you're really starting to apply everything that you have learned over all of these weeks. And at the end, you have a perfect point where you can decide if you want to keep going with this path or if you want to do something else. Every 3 months, you can decide what actions or tactics you're going to do in order to hit that big goal that you have. Now, I have a client example who I think just really perfectly encapsulates how this process can really work for you. This client of mine, she wanted to hit $60,000 in her business in 2025. And for her, at the start of 2025, her idea was that she was going to have this membership. She had all these things in place to have this membership. She was going to go after the lead. She was working on her messaging. She was working on all the things to get this up and going. But at the same time, something else was happening. As she was going through the process to really evaluate, okay, how can I grow this membership? How can I can get this going? She noticed that there were people that were coming in organically for a completely different offer that she wasn't even publicizing. Like that's where a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, I feel like you can help me with this. I feel like you can help me with that." And because she had these natural breaks where she could evaluate what was happening and going on in her business, she realized that actually I feel like I'm making more money from this other thing that I'm not even really publicizing versus my membership that I have. And because she was doing this regular evaluation, she decided that actually I'm going to shut down the membership and actually offer this completely different service. Being open to that shift and really analyzing what was actually bringing in money every month helped to make that decision super easy and that shift super seamless. And because of that shift that she made, 2025 was her highest revenue year ever. She passed that $60,000 goal. And that's because she only actually planned for a few months out and she allowed herself to analyze what her business was telling her and make shifts accordingly. So for you, maybe you're just like, oh, I'm super secure. I know that these are the offers that I'm going to have for the entire year. That's great. That's perfect. But maybe your plan for how you're going to get new leads, maybe that's the thing that needs to be evaluated. Maybe you start the year thinking that reels are going to be it. That's going to be the thing that really works. But you realize that actually you love YouTube, and YouTube has actually secretly been doing a really great job of bringing in new email leads for you. And that could be the strategy that you go with to actually grow your business. The point here to all of this is that you need to be open and flexible. When you plan in 3-month chunks, you're able to be more responsive to your business and your business needs. You're able to check in and see how people are coming to you, see trends on what attracts people, and then make decisions based off of that information and act super quickly. 6 and 7 figure coaches and business owners, like they're able to make these yearly plans because they've done quarterly plans to the point where they just know the rhythm of their business. They know that Q3 is always a really big season for them, but Q1 is always really quiet for them. They know this. They have that years of historical data to the point where they can just plan everything out and they know like clockwork, this is how my business runs. Until your business gets to that level of predictability, I need you to treat every 3 months as if it were your annual planning. If you're hearing this and you're just like, okay, yes, that makes complete sense to me, but I actually don't know how to structure that in a way where I would actually start working and going towards these big goals that I have, then I want you to book a one-on-one momentum call with me. Momentum calls are my 90-minute one-on-one intensives where it's focused on doing things exactly like this, deciding what your next 90 days needs to look like in order to hit those big goals that you have. And if you're thinking like, okay, I know what things that I need to do, but it's in the day-to-day grind of actually executing the plan that I need the most help, then you're going to want to work with me one-on-one in my signature program, The Blueprint. The Blueprint is my 3-month program where it's focused on giving you the feedback that you need to get those big goals, helping you to analyze what your business is telling you, and helping you to make those strategic decisions so that you know exactly how your business needs to shift and what things you need to most focus on to actually see the results that you want for hitting that goal. If you want more information on both of those offers, everything is going to be listed in the show notes there. So you can go ahead, look it up. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Danielle.R.Harris. You can find me on LinkedIn, all of that stuff also linked in the show notes. But I just want you to be really focused on hitting those big goals that you have. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed and pressured that this one thing has to work. I want you to see and realize that you have multiple opportunities to be able to shift your perspective and shift your strategy to something that's actually going to work for you. Like with my client example, her first whole quarter was dedicated to one strategy that she ended up leaving behind for something that actually worked and got her past her income goals, all because she was willing to be able to shift and because she was able to see, like, okay, these are the things that are actually working for you. I want you to be able to experience that level of freedom of planning and these chunks will give you. And I want you to be able to know that, like, yeah, I can actually hit this and I don't have to know everything perfectly laid out at the very start of the year. If that's the level of freedom that you want in your business, then let's work together and help create that for you so you feel confident that you can hit these big goals because I know that you can. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.